Hi, I'm Caitlin, and this is Book Chats, and today I'm bringing you my first review. Apologize really quickly, I'm wearing the same thing and have the same background in 3 videos in a row, but like separate weeks they'll be released in, because I'm going to be traveling a lot in the next week, and I don't know when I'll have time to film, so I'm just going to film everything right now. But the first thing I want to do is review this book, The Fangirl's Guide to the Galaxy by Sam Maggs. It's a handbook for girl geeks, and it is published by Quirk Books. I actually received this from Quirk Books for a review, and I actually specifically requested it because I was really excited about this book. So I'm really excited about this book because Sam Maggs is the editor of The Mary Sue, which is a blog kind of for girl geeks that I've kind of perused and enjoyed, and I kind of had considered myself a girl geek for a long time. I grew up watching Star Trek Voyager with my family. I watched Battlestar Galactica. I read nerdy books. I watch nerdy shows. I love discussing weird science fiction things. I have a lot of friends who are engineers. I really was interested in knowing what this book was like. So the short review is that I thought it was a good book. I enjoyed it. I think it's really good for its purpose. And then I'm going to go into kind of what I liked about it specifically, and a couple things that I wish had been done differently. So firstly, I really like just like knowing what a physical book is like, and this is a really nice hardcover. It's pretty compact in size, which I really like because it's a reference book, so it's really nice for I carried it in my purse while I was reading it. I read it all straight through, which I don't necessarily think is the recommended way to read it. It's not really like a novel, and it's not even creative nonfiction. It is a reference. So I wanted to show you, though, this is the dust jacket, which I think is cute enough, but I read it with the dust jacket off most of the time because dust jackets get whatever. And I thought that this is really adorable underneath the dust jacket. I just thought it was super cool, super cute. And then I also thought this is like a weird little thing, but I don't know if you can see that. So basically it's in 4 sections, and each section has kind of a different main topic, and then they're split up by really short interviews with kind of well-known women in fandoms and in geekdom. So there's a section about being a geek, what it means to be a geek, different fandoms within geekery. Then there's one about kind of online fandoms and online spaces for girl geeks. Then there's one about how to survive conventions, and then there's one about geek girl feminism, and then there's a short little section of resources at the back. So because each of those sections are split up by these short interviews, they're literally just 3 questions, it's actually really easy to tell which section is which from the outside of the book. So if you've read it already and you want to reference back to something and you remember what section it's in, you can go back and find that section pretty easily. So my favorite section, so I think like any kind of reference like this, you're going to find things that you already know, but I also found things that I didn't know, and I felt like it was still helpful, even for someone who's been considering themselves a geek for a little while and has been in different spaces. Maybe if you were like Sam Maggs yourself, you wouldn't find it helpful. I don't know. I think it's going to be helpful for a pretty wide range of people. My favorite section was the one on conventions, because that's really where I'm at in my geekdom. I know where online spaces are, I know about my own fandoms, but I haven't really been to many conventions, and it's something that I'm willing to explore and kind of look into, and so I really like that section. Things in each section that I thought were interesting and helpful. One quick silly thing, but there is one little paragraph that talks about burlesque. So if you're giving this to someone as a gift and they don't already know what burlesque is, you might want to tell them before you give it to them. I think that the author, Sam Maggs, does a really good job of saying, if this is something you're into, go for it, but if you're not, it doesn't make you less of a geek girl. Actually, the one big kind of complaint I have about the book, and this is something that I saw someone, I'll link to this review down below. Right before I started reading this, I read a review from someone on Goodreads, and they said this, and I thought it was true too. They said that they felt like the feminism chapter was kind of tacked on, and it felt out of place, and they weren't really sure why it was there. And when I read that review, I was like, well, I know why it's there. It's because men on the internet, am I right? But I think I actually really appreciate what's in that section, the meat of the section. There's a really nice guide to great female characters and tons of different types of media. So comics, books, anime, manga, television shows, movies. Here are some places to start if you want to read or watch or see awesome ladies. And then there's a short section about how to kind of watch or consume media that you love critically, and how to say, I like this thing, but it's sometimes problematic, and here's how I can kind of separate that. And I felt like those were both really good sections, but the introduction to those and kind of the transition from the other sections isn't very well done. It's kind of clunky, and it's the only place that I really felt Sam Magazine as an author was telling you had to be something, instead of saying, like, there are different parts of geekdom and fandom, and they appeal to different people. And I think it's interesting because I think those two sections itself, like, I can see that those sections actually do appeal to all people, but the way that she introduces it just is kind of off-putting. And so I wasn't a huge fan of that, but I did really like that in each section she gives advice, and she also takes the time to give cautions of, like, if you're being a geek girl on the internet, you have to really consciously make a decision about whether or not you want to use your real name. And if you're at a convention and you're cosplaying or you're not cosplaying, like, make sure you are firm about your boundaries and you don't let people, like, come into your space just because they think that they can. She was able to add cautions that I think were necessary without, like, scaring you. She doesn't say, like, this is terrible, you should never do it, but she says, like, there are ways to do this and there are ways to not, and eventually you're going to face people who are crappy people, but, like, this is how you can deal with it. So I really like that, and I really thought it was good, and I think that it's a great reference. I think if you know a fangirl or are a fangirl or you know some geek girls, it's a really great book to check. And I also want to say that I am reviewing this as a guest post on my friend's blog, and on that blog I'll actually be giving this copy away. It's not brand new because of course I read it, but I tried to be really careful about where I read it and how I read it, so it's pretty close to new. It's a finished copy, and if you want to be in that giveaway or to enter in that giveaway, I will put the information down below. And so that is my review of The Fangirl's Guide to the Galaxy, a handbook for geek girls by Sam Maggs and published by Quirk Books. And again, I'm going to say this at the end of the review as well, I did receive this book from the publisher in exchange for a review. They did not have any stipulations on what my review would be like, but I did enjoy the book. If you have seen my book about reviewing books, I gave this book 3 stars, which means I thought it was good. I go with the Goodreads system, and it's a great reference, I think, if you are looking for that. So that is my review, and ask me any questions you have about it down below, and I will see you later in the same outfit, but on a different day. Talk to you later. Bye.